Hello, class. I brought a little friend into the studio with me today. There it is. What is it? Is it a duck? Or is it a bunny? Or is it a dunny or a buck? Okay, whatever. Okay. Can you switch between the two pretty readily? Can you see a duck? And then can you see a bunny? And then can you see a duck? And then can you see a bunny? And then can you see me? More exciting than ducks or bunnies? I don't know. Is that true? Okay, so what do we got here? We got this little exercise here. It's a creativity exercise. Supposedly, if you can switch readily between those two critters in this optical kind of thing, from a duck to a bunny, there's the little ducky bill, and there, or are they ears, whichever. The more readily you can switch between those two critters, the more creative you are, supposedly. They did some test with the duck and bunny thing, how readily, I don't know how they measured that, how readily you could switch between them. Maybe they just did a scale item. And then they had people come up like in 2 minutes. We gave them 2 minutes to think of all the uses they could come up with for a typical household item, like a chair. What are all the things you can do with a chair? Or what are all the things you could do with a pencil or a paper clip? Or I'm looking around my area here. You know, so that was the exercise. Let's see what they found. 2 minutes, yes, everyday object. And how many you could come up with. Folks that could, he said they found that those that were easy to flip between the duck and the bunny came up with 5 novel uses for everyday item. And those that couldn't flip too well at all came up with less than 2 novel uses. So that was the idea, novel use. Okay, so there you go, a little duck and bunny test for creativity. Here's another little exercise. Check this one out. See what you can do with this. Another creativity exercise. Let's see can I read it while I show it to you? Here's the picture, and it says, assume that a steel pipe is embedded in a concrete floor in a bare room, as shown below. There's a steel pipe. It's embedded in concrete, and inside the inside diameter is 6/100ths of an inch larger than the diameter of a ping pong ball. And there's the ping pong ball resting inside that pipe. And so the pipe is 4 inches high. Yeah, there it is, 4 inches. And the ball's at the bottom. The ball is 1.5 inches diameter. Is that right? 1.5 inches diameter. And 6/1000ths of an inch. It's in there it's just in there, nice. It's nestled in there, it's not stuck, which is resting gently at the bottom of a pipe. You're with a group of 6 people in the room, along with these objects: 100 feet of clothesline, a carpenter's hammer, a chisel, a box of Wheaties, a cereal box full of Wheaties cereal, a file, a wire coat hanger, a monkey wrench, and a light bulb. List all the ways you can think of in 5 minutes to get the ball out of the pipe without damaging the ball. Can't damage the ball, can't damage the tube, the metal tube, steel tube, and you can't damage the floor. There it is, sitting, the ball sitting. So there you go, that's the puzzle. You got the puzzle? Okay. Stop the video. Okay. We're gonna play the game. Stop the video and see what you can do. You got 5 minutes. Okay, ready, set, stop the video. Did you stop the video? You're playing the game? Okay, there it is. And this is a little creativity exercise. I mean, And if you haven't stopped it already, you can stop it now because I'm going to give it away a little bit. I'll tell you what, I don't know the answer, but I've used this exercise in the past and people have come up with some creative thoughts. Let's see, what do we got? We can't damage anything, right? Can't damage the ball, the steel pipe, or the concrete floor. So we've got 100 feet of clothesline. I don't know if anybody's ever come up with a use for that. Maybe you could do some friction thing, but you can't damage the pipe. You know, get it warm enough. Would something happen with some vortex happen if you use that? Okay, I don't know. Think about that. A carpenter's hammer, God knows. A chisel, God knows. But how about a box of Wheaties? A lot of people zero in on the box of Wheaties. You could tear it, it's a cardboard box. You could tear that box up. You can make a little funnel thing, suck that ball up, get it hooked up in, you know, a little tube, get it hooked in the tube, pull it up. Yeah, that could work. Maybe you could use the box kind of like a little lever, maybe kind of pinch the ball with it so you could suck it up. Maybe you could pinch the ball, kind of pinch it a little bit with that paper cardboard box. How about the Wheaties inside the box? Chew it up, make a little paste, a little sticky substance. Put that little sticky substance, what do we got? Well, we got a coat hanger. Can make a little thing out of that coat hanger maybe. And, or maybe the end of the file, just put a little bit of that sticky, chewed up Wheaties in there. I mean, don't forget, isn't the glue they use to hang wallpaper mainly made out of wheat? Ground, I don't know, wheat flour, something, I don't know, something. Maybe I just made that up. You know, you don't know. You never look it up. Okay, make a paste with the Wheaties, stick it in there and pull it up. Another idea, maybe you could take those Wheaties and crumble them up and make them into a powder kind of, and just kind of tap that ball, that pipe, and the Wheaties would kind of go down around the ball, and you put some more Wheaties, and it go down below the ball, and ground up some more Wheaties and put them down, and pretty soon the balls just kind of raise and up, and you can get a finger in there and get your hands on that ball. What else we got? Well, I don't know. The coat hanger, maybe you could flatten it out with the carpenter's hammer against the monkey wrench. Maybe make it look fine, real fine. Pound it down to like foil. Maybe get that around it. What do you think? Would that work? Light bulb. Bust it up again. Make it into glass powder. Maybe you could use that to get underneath the ball. Could you use it as I don't know if you can use it as a suction thing or not. Well, there you go. There's some ideas. What did you come up with? Hey, and here's my favorite solution. Usually someone comes up with this, which is kind of, whatever. You got 6 people in the room. Well, two is a 3-word solution. Pee in the pipe. There you go. 6 people, you should be able to pull it off. Okay. You know, you just can't be shy. Is the deal. Well, there you go. Those are a couple little creativity. I don't know. They're not nonsense. They're little exercises. Use them on your friends. It could be a party game. Okay. So here's a little overview of what we're going to do. I'm going to take us through, just kind of recap real quick what we did last time. And then I'm going to take us through the articles and the techniques. We got a couple techniques, what they're about. For this is the last day of class. So we're going to take you through that, and we're going to talk about a final, because there's a little 16% kind of final, just a little thing, not an overwhelming deal, but just to kind of put a lid on this on the course, and have you look at this stuff one more time. Okay, an online test. So that's kind of, do a little review, close off the class, review of the course, just kind of some summary kind of comments, and then step into that final, talking about that. Okay, A big thing that happens today, though, well, Thursday that this class meets, is that you turn in that value creation paper. And that was a focus of the course. We talked about it enough. We looked at that model enough. And you got to do this creativity, well, this value creation paper with a buddy. And so you post that up. Thursday is when it's due, and I'll check it out and I'll leave you some audio comments, give you a grade on it, and some audio comments out there about how things looked when I checked it out. You're going to use headings, right? That's one of my favorite things to look for. You're going to use the whole model, right? You're going to talk about improvements to the organization you checked out, improvements to how could they enhance the value proposition that they're presenting to folks. You're going to do that. You're going to do a little paragraph on digital media. Just say something about it. Think about that. Okay, so that's all going to happen. You're going to post that up and I'm going to check it out. A lot of times when I collect this up in class, usually when I collect it up, I do this. I list the companies that people worked with. Who did you check out? So I put that up and get a whole range, from the mom and pop little shop to Nike. Okay. And then I have people think about, anything striking when you looked at this. You looked at the benefits, all kinds, tangible, intangible. You look at cost, tangible to perceptual cost, everything from economic price performance kind of value to, the highly intangible. You looked at perceptions of the product, the service, brand, a company. You looked at the emotional, psychological aspects. Okay, you did all that. So anything striking come up? How about any unusual cost? Put a hand up. How about any unusual benefits? Psych-emotional stuff? So I go through this, kind of talk about it. How about an aha moment? We had the okay, we did that last time. We had the moment. Oh, I understand. We had the aha. That's like strategic intuition, like a revelation, a mental thing happens. So, an aha moment. And then, back to the improvements. What'd you come up with for improvements? By increasing benefits and or reducing cost. Okay, what'd you come up with there? And then one of the last things I like to ask people, especially if you did some company they're part of, some organization they're part of, are you going to give a copy to your boss? Are you that proud of the work you just put into this value creation paper? You're going to give a copy to your boss. Yeah. So that's what I do when I collect those up. And there you got the vicarious version of that. That kind of takes care of it, I guess. Okay. So last time, let me get stuff stuck here so it's not going to fall down. Excuse my armpit. Is that my armpit? No, it's not it's my elbow. Yeah, so there's that. So here's one of the things we did last time, just to kind of recap where we're at. We looked at the creativity system. We talked about roles you play. So the output, the product of the creativity, we can spot that when we see it, but we spent more time talking about the input, the role you play, kind of the explorer. We talked about the implementation, that's over here, like the warrior. We talked about control, that's like the judge, and then the process, that's like the artist. And so we had this system, came to me in the night, thinking about, what goes into creativity, the components of it, that it has to be judged at some point. It has to be, if it's good enough, if it passes judgment, you know, that output passes judgment, then you have to be implement it, put it into action. So there you go. I mean, these are pieces that I see of what goes into creativity, and kind of linked them up to some Von Oech stuff, guy I ripped off for a lot of this. Okay, a kick on the side, well, it was smack on the side of the head, a kick in the seat of the pants. A couple of books he did, and his roles that are part of creativity fit pretty well, I think, into this systems idea with the input, process, output, feedback, control, and then of course implementation off the end, beyond output, putting it into action. So creativity system, yes, there it is. And we worked on that. And we zeroed in on this a little bit, the process, thinking about, we told some stories there, of course, and some of these articles kind of get at the process. Here's one of the things we did. We looked at this whole list of blocks or constraints to creativity. So the system, do I have a number on that? That was handout 66. That was the system. And this is 67, these blocks to creativity, or locks. Things you have to do the opposite of these, and it can enhance your creative thinking. Do the opposite. Don't look for the right answer. Don't be logical. Don't follow the rules. Don't be practical. Embrace ambiguity. Don't worry about it. Erring is part of the whole deal. You have to be comfortable with failure. Play can be beneficial. It can be beneficial if it's not your area. Being foolish has a place in this whole thing. It's like reverse in the automobile. And then the opposite of the number 10. No, you don't say that. No self-talk that's negative self-talk like that. So we're all creative, and some of this stuff we're looking at can enhance creative thinking. That's number 67, and we did that. I talked through some little examples there, kind of some interesting things. So here we go. I'm keeping moving here. Let me stick some stuff where that doesn't get in my way too much. And here we go. I'm gonna look at Claire. How are things? So we're gonna look at what Claire did. She had this little grab bag of stuff, and it was seven unusual psychological techniques, and then some stuff in this Inspired by Design magazine article along the borders. I said the bottom border, but there's something on a margin too. And then a collage of newspaper articles. Okay, what was all this about? Here, let's look at the 7 psychological techniques that, should we come in on me a little more here? Because I'm kind of a big deal. Number 1, psychological distance. Oh, that's like Dugan. I mean, imagining it's distant, disconnected from you. Dugan talked about that, talking about intuitions and strategic intuition, going fast forward into time. Oh, how about metaphors, time metaphors? There's all kinds of metaphors. So this is kind of, okay, we repeat ourselves a little bit on some of these things, but I'm giving you multiple angles on this, different people's ideas, and in different terms. Maybe something will resonate with you. It might be useful for you when you're trying to crack through, coming up with some creative ideas, or manage a group that you want to stimulate their thinking, give them some ideas to come up with some creative options to problems, solutions, ideas for the future. Okay, psychological distance, number 1, fast forward into time, number 2, absurdist stimulation. This is ambiguity. Reading something absurd can enhance creativity, help you get out of the box, So it's kind of ambiguous information, absurdist, kind of strange, off the wall kind of stuff. How about, this is interesting, I haven't seen this before. Use bad moods. Positive mood, that's number 4. Positive moods increase problem solving and flexibility, which are thought to be conducive to creativity. But negative emotions actually have a power to boost creativity. Well, I don't know, bad moods. Combining opposites. Okay, we've got the SCAMPER technique we're going to talk about tonight, or today, or this afternoon, or this morning, whenever you're looking at this. And it says combining opposites. Set up impossible oppositions. Try ridiculous combinations, okay? But combining opposites. SCAMPER kind of gets at that technique. That's an acronym we'll talk about. The path of most resistance. One of the things that Von Oates talks about, maybe we did this when we were talking about being the artist, maybe, I think it was being the artist. He talks about slaying a dragon, going where you're afraid to go. So the path of most resistance. Most folks go the path of least. Here they're saying there might be benefits going the path of most. And then reconceptualizing. This is SCAMPER again, reconceiving the problem, putting it in a different context, Forget the solution, ask yourself, are you asking the right questions? SCAMPER gets at this, but so does a couple articles we've got on brainstorming. So that's the 7 unusual. How'd I do, Claire? Is that okay? And then this inspired by design thing. It was a magazine article, and it had some stuff along the margins, horizontal margins, little sidebar kind of things, and go green. That plants and natural art depicting natural scenes can boost creative thinking. The color green actually supposedly is shown to boost creative thoughts and put people in a relaxed mind, back to that, some of the stuff that Dugan talked about. So yeah, go green. Then, well, it talked about layout of offices a bit, space in the office. Dark versus light rooms. Darkened rooms actually inspire innovation by reducing inhibitions. I don't know. Dark offices can be uncomfortable though. Okay, so it's which we got a couple of things here. Which works best? And I think it's individual to you. Dark versus light rooms. What you're comfortable with, what makes you work best. Mess versus order. Most design experts recommend getting rid of clutter to promote creativity. Some research, however, suggests that chaos breeds inspiration. Well, okay. And then some other things. Shortcuts to get creative. Debate, critiquing someone else's ideas. Relaxing, okay, back long, warm showers, walks back to, we talked about David Ogilvy, he was pretty relaxed. Relaxing and being offline, but this is part of Dugan. Offline, relaxing, exercising, going on walks, stuff like that. Taking a walk helped boost the divergent thinking and brainstorming productivity, supposedly, in a study by Stanford. And then back to green, man, that go green, find nature, being outdoors increases a feeling of well-being, reduces blood pressure, heart rate, and stress hormone. And then take a nap. Okay, take a nap. And that Dugan talked about sleep being important. Okay, I think that's the design one. Then the newspaper. Okay, we had this, it kind of went down, and you had part of the fun of the newspaper thing was following the arrows. You started with this article, and then some arrows went up and over and down. Check it out. Okay. Well, they talk about, there's some article on just creativity, and one problem is Americans is the definition of creativity is too narrow. Okay, I think it just applies to artists and playwrights and sculptors or something. So something like that. Okay, creativity at work, reviving your creativity. tinker with your brainstorming technique, make a collage, try other techniques. Don't be afraid of bad ideas. Good ideas can help your career. That's kind of reviving it. 5 ways to revive your creativity. Remind yourself, 5 ways to revive your creativity. Slow down. Okay. My directors tell me, enunciate. Slow down. Say the words. Don't just past them. Remind yourself of your goal, dream that you might have. Write a journal. Set aside time to be alone. Hang out with creative people. That can help. Turn off the TV, the smartphone, the Facebook. Okay. Well, it goes on. You know, how much I'm giving it all away. Well, Claire would have done this. Creativity isn't a sometime thing. It takes place all the time. Build your tolerance for bad ideas. Think big. Seek out diverse friends. Discipline your creative urges. Okay, so there you go. Thank you, Claire, for taking us through that and summarizing whatever was going on there so we all get it. Oh, and then Colleen, you lucky person, what the heck? Have you ever read an article in the School of Business like this one? Free play. This is a chapter from a book called The Mind at Play. Hold it, this is the chapter Mind at Play in the book called Free Play. Okay, get it straight. It describes how play is a very important key to being creative. Back to play is frivolous. You want the opposite of that? That's a block. Thinking about play as being frivolous is a block to creativity. So that's what this is about. And it says improvisation, composition, writing, painting, theater, invention are all creative acts. All creative acts are forms of play. Think about this in a business context. I mean, lighten up a little bit. It says it's one of the great primal life functions. We talked about the primal code. Okay, so there's a primal. Okay, here's play versus a game. Play is free-spirited exploration, doing and being for its own pure joy. A game has rules, like baseball, or a symphony has rules, okay? Okay, so they set in the scene here. And then what is galumphing? Galumphing, is that from Winnie the Pooh? I mean, where did that come from? It's the immaculately rambunctious play energy we see in puppies, kittens, and children, and all the Winnie the Pooh characters, maybe especially Tigger. Colleen, how am I doing? Am I getting this? So kind of talk about galumphing, and that kids are pretty creative and important to be playful. Play doesn't cost anything, and therefore it is no longer play if you put a price on it. It makes a challenge. This makes a challenge for artists and athletes. But either one, I mean, kind of range of things there. Athletes play to a great extent for the love of their sport, but issues of money, prestige, fame introduce a lot of non-play as well, okay? Then they move into the inner child. The most potent muse of all of us, is our own, for all of us, of all of us, I don't know, is our own inner child. Wow, so free play, it's free. Full-blown artistic creativity, when a trained and skillful grown-up is able to tap the source of clear, unbroken play consciousness of the small child within. Oh, well, your inner child. I mean, that's kind of what it's getting to a little bit here, because it's kind of a natural thing for kids. They're kind of unconstrained. So at the end of this article, is this the end? Okay, here, I'll end it. And then Colleen done a swell job. Check it out. I just know she has. It is in playing and only in playing that the individual child or adult is able to be creative and to use the whole personality, maybe the whole brain. And it is only in being creative that the individual discovers the self. Whoa, this is philosophical stuff. Thanks for taking us through that, Colleen. I'm excited about seeing how that looks. Well, then, Annalise and Rory are doing the brainstorming technique. I mean, a fun thing to do with this is to have folks that show us one of these techniques use all the brains in the class to help them administer or implement the technique and solve some problem. And I always tell people, the more personal the problem, the better. We want to know about your love life and relational stuff, and we can help you. As a class, we can help you attack those problems, okay? But brainstorming, you always hear about it. And so, handout 70, you realize we had 70 handouts in this. I think I identified this before, but hey, brainstorming, there are actually steps and rules that kind of make it work better. And then there's a critique of, we got 2 articles. Okay, let's talk about this though. Here's a rule. Criticism is ruled out. Judgment is suspended. Freewheeling is welcome. Quantity is wanted. Combination and improvements are sought. Okay, check that out. There's the guy. He's having a brainstorm, that's for sure. And then additional rules. Hold the session off the premises. Use a round table. Provide facilities for visual expression, flip charts, whatever, blackboards. Tape record. Okay, how old is this handout? How about just record? Audio record the session. Hold the session in the morning, but not on Monday. How about that? The leader should not be the person with problem-solving responsibility, and friends should not sit next to each other. Well, there you go. Let's hand out 70, some pointers on brainstorming. So what do we know about brainstorming? I mean, what I gave Annalise and Rory was some pieces and parts of things I collected up, I think from a couple of sources, maybe only 2 sources for this one, about brainstorming, just kind of a story about it. So part of it gives you a little history. Back in 1941, a guy named Osborne encouraged a group to express various ideas and to defer critical judgment until later. It's kind of the heart of brainstorming. So everyone offers ideas and they're listed, they're combined, they're improved upon, changed in various ways, ideas brought together. The real idea behind brainstorming is to create an environment that will encourage creative, critical thinking. Are those 2 opposite things? Creative thinking that's probably not critical thinking necessarily. Critical thinking is maybe when you bring them together and maybe when you judge them. Is that true? Okay. One member records it, all withhold judgment on suggestions. After the session, the various ideas and suggestions are reviewed and evaluated. So part of it's to allow thoughts to flow freely without judgment. The goal is to generate unique creative thoughts. 2 basic principles of brainstorming. Quantity breeds quality. The more ideas, the better. More likely to come up with a solution. Number 2, defer judgment. Don't judge instinctively, okay? So what else do you get? What else are they going to tell us about brainstorming? Let me see. Well, then there's some steps. You got that handout 70, but then there are steps, and Handout 70 kind of gets at some of it, but select a problem, write the problem as a definite question. So what's the problem? Choose participants. Ideal 6 to 12. 12 seems a lot, but should have positive mental attitude, flexible thinkers, have someone who can lead the discussion. So, select a problem, identify, define it, choose the participants, choose an environment. We got some ideas there. Don't do it off, do it off premises, off the normal work area. Comfortable off-site room is what this says. Give frequent breaks. Number 4, select a group leader who can strong interpersonal skills, able to find analogies for suggestions. Okay, prepare in advance. There's some lists there. Select a recorder or audio record the thing. Follow up, encourage, have lunch, dinner, cocktail party directly after the meeting. Send a list of ideas to the group to generate, that the group has generated as a way to encourage people. Another good follow-up is recommendations from the group individually, ask for them individually, evaluate the ideas. And yeah, I think that, well, there you go. There's some thoughts on creativity, on boosting creativity with brainstorming. And Annalise and Roy gave you a swell summary of those summaries, I expect. Okay. Then, after brainstorming, we have 2 articles about brainstorming. Okay, so kind of, because you hear about it so much. Now here's some tools for you. Should someone say, oh, let's do a brainstorming thing. Okay, what do you do? You just kind of sit around and, well, okay, there should be a plan. And here's some things that can help you plan it out and make it more effective. And the Gregerson and Coyne et al. Articles help with thinking about how to do, how to do brainstorming, but some criticism of it, some ideas that might improve it. And so let's see, better brainstorming. This is by Gregerson. This is out of the Harvard Business Review. This thing's only a couple years old, if that. It's pretty fresh. Maybe it's 2018. So the problem. Here, this is better brainstorming. Gregerson, right? Max, Alex S. Druid in training, right, Alex? The problem, great innovators have always known that the key to unlocking a better answer is to ask a better question, okay? So one that challenges deeply held assumptions. And so that, yet most people don't do that, even when brainstorming. So the solution, by brainstorming for questions, okay, started off with that, it looks like. That's what he's proposing. Brainstorming for questions instead of answers. You can create a safe space for deeper exploration of more powerful problem solving. So destructive group dynamics and biases that thwart breakthrough thinking can be overcome, supposedly, by delving deeper into the question that you're asking. Okay, so it's a kind of a three-step process, a new methodology from Gregerson, sort of set the stage. You have these question bursts for 2 minutes. Some challenge you got going on, okay, some challenge that they care about. And then these question bursts for 2 minutes, summoning empathy. After that, you summoning empathy, okay? How do you feel about the thing? Question burst methodology reverses some destructive dynamics like social loafing, where you kind of ride on the coattails of others, social anxiety, fear of one's ideas not presenting. So this setting the stage and this burst of questioning has some positive impacts on group dynamics is the idea. So before you start moving forward, you contribute only questions, no preambles or justification to the question, just the questions. And then you brainstorm the questions. That's all the first step, setting the stage. Set a timer. Spend the next 4 minutes generating as many questions as possible about the challenge. And, okay, so you got this burst of questions, and you're generating more questions. They all come out, and then you kind of condensing them, it seems, Questions, especially counterintuitive ones, make us feel so uncomfortable that we hasten to utter any response. So, the 2 minute, the 4 minute thing, the 2 minute thing to start at the 4 minute thing. So add other questions to the mix, and then identify a quest and commit to it. On your own, study the question, jot it down. Look for those that suggest new pathways, and then ask the why question to better understand why a question matters. And I don't know if they talk about the 5 whys, why. And so how to make it 3 rounds, question burst. And then it talks about other techniques you can use to move forward with this Gregerson suggestion on better brainstorming by brainstorming questions, especially as an initial input into the brainstorming process. How'd I do? Max, how'd I do? And then we got breakthrough thinking inside the box. Okay, Max and Alex, they got these 2 articles because there's 2 of them. And this zeroed in primarily on product development kind of stuff. They had, on page 74, they had 21 questions to uncover extraordinary opportunities. So it's like product development, new products. And so, but you could get these 21 questions. So more questioning, okay? Seems to be a theme here, huh? So you got these 21 questions to uncover opportunities. And they're mainly looking at brand, product development. But you can take these 21 questions and by analogy, generalize them to other application. So inventing a new idea for a new business is as if you were given a new box and being asked to think inside that. Okay, so what it says, if you systematically constrain the scope of your thinking, people are adept at fully exploring the possibilities, and they can generally generate lots of ideas in, kind of inside the box. So the McKinsey company did an approach to brainstorming that involves concrete questions, orchestrating the process for answering those questions. And this seemed to work pretty well, what they came up with. Why doesn't brainstorming work? Managers fail to generate a stream of solid ideas. They encourage people to go wild and think outside the box. Okay, this is working with questions and pulling it in a little bit. So, and when you do a market research, it doesn't work so well because people don't have any idea that they need something that they've never heard of. So like Bill Gates or maybe Steve Jobs in particular, giving them things before they knew they needed it. Rarely tell whether they need or want a product that they have never seen or imagined. They can rarely tell. They can really tell you that they need or want it when they've never seen it or imagined it. So asking the right questions makes ideas flow rapidly, generate insights into any business, develop your own list of questions. So better orchestrating the process. And it gives you some steps here. Bound the range of acceptable ideas. Get it in the box. tailor questions accordingly. Select participants who produce original insights. Ensure that everyone is fully engaged. Structure the meeting to ensure social norms work for you, not against you. And we got some stuff there. The questioning thing kind of gets beyond some problems with social norm stuff. The question burst thing. Focus every discussion using your pre-selected questions, and don't rely solely on one brainstorming session, and narrow the list of ideas to ones that you'll seriously investigate pretty quick. So when you introduce the think inside the box approach in your organization, keep in mind one other basic law of human dynamics. People are nervous about change, and it could take time for the quiet, thoughtful people to open up and give their opinions. And we talked about Machiavelli, and you have lukewarm supporters you have opponents from those that are doing well the way things are, and you have lukewarm supporters from those that might do well because they don't know. Okay, so there's my shotgun at that. It works a lot better when students take us through this. They're the experts and can help us get through some of these things when they do their presentations. But you got me as a substitute. Sorry. Okay, so brainstorming and critique. Gregerson and the Coyne et al. Critique. It brings us up to another technique. And this is kind of the grand summary technique. It brings everything together in one place. I don't know, is that true? I don't know. That might be giving it more credit than it deserves, but it's a summary of a lot of things that you can do to enhance creative thinking, come up with creative ideas. And it's called SCAMPER. And SCAMPER stands for substitute, combine, adapt, magnify or modify, put to other uses, eliminate or minify, reverse or rearrange. SCAMPER. So here's a little SCAMPER picture. If we were doing this in class, I would have who's doing SCAMPER? Why don't I have it written down? I can tell you who's doing SCAMPER. Jake and Alex Muck. Okay, so they're the SCAMPER guys. Why didn't I write you guys down? I don't know. I figured I'd just remember you because you're memorable guys. So Jake and Alex Muck are doing that. And check this out. I would have let them use this if they were doing a presentation in class. How about spam? My daughter-in-law is a Pacific Islander, and spam is like the staff of life. I think from World War II, and the GIs hanging out in those Pacific Islands, bringing spam with them. It turned out that the indigenous folks kind of adopted it as their go-to canned meatish sort of product. What do you call spam? Canned meatish animal? Are they pig parts? Mainly pig parts. I think spam is like ham, only spam. Okay. Oh, look at this. How about substitute? S. So what can be substituted? Who else? What else? Other ingredients, other materials, other processes. What can be? We can substitute things, places, procedures, people, ideas. Here we substitute turkey for pig parts. Okay. How about combine? Features can always be added to multiply possible uses and purposes of a product. What ideas and purposes can be combined? What other articles can be merged with this? What can be combined and multiplied together? Okay, combine. Oh, how about merging Tabasco and Spam. Is that what they did? Hot and spicy. Okay. Combine. Adapt. What else is like this? What can I copy? What other ideas does this suggest? Does the past offer a parallel? Adapt. What is it? It's less sodium, adapted to be healthier. Modify and magnify. Let's see, magnify. What can be exaggerated, overstated, added value? What can be duplicated? So that's magnify. So what do you got? Oh, extra features. Smoke flavored Spam. I'm getting hungry. Watch it, looking at this. Okay. Modify. How can it be altered for the better? What can be twisted? What can be modified? Light Spam. Geez. What's it say? I can't read it. Less calories. Okay. Light Spam. Put to other uses. History is full of inventions, innovations, and products that develop from something else. Post-it notes, silly putty. And so put to other uses. Here we got it. Put to other, it's a spread. You can use it as pâté de foie gras. Whatever, that's goose liver. I'd rather have Spam, I think, than goose liver. What do you think? What's your position on pâté foie gras? Okay. And then eliminate or minify. What if this were smaller? What should I omit? What is not necessary? Oh, what if it was smaller? It's a little smaller, it's like a half-size can of Spam. If you're on a diet, you only eat half a can. And then reverse rearrange. Creativity consists largely of rearranging what we know in order to find out, recombining things. We talk about it's a function, the definition of creativity. Use the original product to explain what you will need to sit back and analyze your product to reverse, rearrange. What other arrangements might be better? Interchange components, other pattern or layout, or okay. So it's thinking about the original and what you could rearrange, reverse, whatever. There it is, SCAMPER. An interesting tool to stimulate thinking. Plug in one of these items, one of these SCAMPER items, if you're trying to break through. Okay, so Alex, Jake, thanks for taking us through that. Now there are some other creativity. These are things to stimulate creative thinking. Brainstorming, analogies and metaphors. I like to see live action stuff in class, but of course we couldn't do that. There's another one, brainstorming and SCAMPER. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Those are two techniques, but we also have another one in the packet there called analogies and metaphors. And back to the idea of Aristotle. I think we had Aristotle in one of those articles we read talking about metaphorical thinking. It helps us move. Thinking in analogies helps us move forward with our thinking, seeing things in new ways. Zaltman article talked about thinking as metaphor, thinking metaphors. And so here's this technique, analogy and metaphor technique. One of your classmates may do a little summary for you of those articles. It might be out there. I'll let you know if that ends up out there at the Google Docs site. Maybe you can just keep your eyes open. Tell you what, if someone does analogies and metaphors, would that someone label it analogies and metaphors, the file name? So when people are looking around, they can find that. In your packet, so So Zaltman, metaphors are central to thought. Aristotle, understand the deeper meaning with metaphors. And here's handout 69. It tells you what an analogy is, comparison to two things alike in certain aspects, used as exposition and description. Okay, so you got analogies, and then it mentions metaphors. All the world is a stage, a storm of protest, nipped in the bud. Those are metaphors. And then a simile, as big as a house, runs like the wind, naked. What? Naked as the day is long. What the heck's that? I don't know. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. What's that about? So there it is. Analogies and metaphors. That's handout 69. Kind of what they are. Okay, the metaphors and similes are both analogies. Okay, that's the umbrella term. Okay, trust me. Trust me. And then another tool to enhance creativity that I mentioned, and was back to with the can I put those up on my head so I can read? Is the insight matrix. Did I have it up here and stick it away already? Was I not going to show it? I guess I was not going to show it. But it was the insight matrix. And we kind of put it up. Okay, I already put it up. Kind of showed you it. But it's back where we talked about intuition as a doorway to creativity and how aha happens. After those two articles, we've got the insight matrix, this tool that supposedly simulates kind of the way we think. It's like thinking about the brain as a massive, most complex filing system on Earth. And this insight matrix kind of comes up with these filing things and crossing stuff over so it can make new connections. That's the idea of the insight matrix. And so you've got a couple pages on how to make it work and a little description on how that's another creativity technique. So what'd you get? You got brainstorming, it's in the packet. You got a summary from your classmate. You got SCAMPER, it's in the packet, summary from your classmates. You got analogies and metaphors, maybe a summary is coming. And then you've got the insight matrix, another tool to help with creative thinking. And there you go, some things that can help you break through, looking at this side of the brain, right side kind of stuff. Okay, that's it. And that's it for the class. And here's some summary kind of stuff we'll step into, and we're gonna wrap the class up. And do a little review kind of thing, and do a little test prep kind of thing. So that's what we're going to do. So first, since we're wrapping up we just got done with the creativity intuition side. What was that? Here's what that was. We explored the soft side of decision making. You got other places, was this a handout? I don't know if I had a handout on this. But we looked at the soft side, metaphor, dream, humor, ambiguity, play. How about play? How about hunches? How about the child, generalization, hunches, intuition? Other folks can do these other things for you. They take you through that. Analytical, quantitative, that kind of stuff. This kind of rounds you out, you know. So the idea of being a whole brain decision maker. So what's the idea? You know, we looked at intuition. What is it? Where it applies most readily, how it fits into organizations, got that a little bit. How it can be supported in organizations, got that a little bit. And then creativity, who has it? Everybody, did you raise your hand? Everybody raised their hand. What inhibits it? We talk about blocks to creativity and how it can be enhanced, like those four techniques, okay, that we have in our packet, two we looked at most closely. So how it can be enhanced with techniques and the creative process. We looked at the creative system. We mentioned the roles that you might play in those different stages of that creative system, okay? So consider all this, you know, this right brain kind of stuff as human capital. The idea of human capital is softer, these brain skills, how they fit in an organization, how they can be supported. I mentioned that. So the objective was to think about being whole brain decision makers, ones that can handle and interpret the numbers, but aren't a slave to them. Numbers go so far. Ones that know what intuition is and have lost maybe some of the fear. I think some fear of that, especially if you let other people know that that's something you're using, and get away with it as you move higher in the organization, where decisions, where intuition applies more to decision making because there's no precedent. So lost some fear of it. Ones that can take raw material of knowledge and ideas and put them together in new ways, that's creativity. Understand the process of creativity. Intuition, maybe as a doorway into creativity, and the creative system. You know, so that's that. And then thinking about the class in general, the earlier parts of the class, you know, what did we do? You know, we've read a lot of stuff. Okay, well, at least you heard about a lot of stuff. And the idea was, it was a pile of stuff. I get that. And the intent was to make you pretty current with regard to marketing thinking, management, and strategy perspectives. So strategic planning. And the main angle was decision making. You know, thinking about how to make decisions. Okay, so we got our right brain stuff we did, but here's you know, we handed this out the very first day of class, that this summarized principles of marketing. What we've done is delved into it a little more. You know, this okay, come on, stay up. It's all want to fall on the floor. This model, you know, back to the idea of marketing on one piece of paper. We had these 2 pages, you know, this was the front page. And what did we look at? Okay, so decision making, you know, 2 major areas of decision making. There they are: target market decisions, marketing mix. Under target market, segmenting. Okay, so what am I doing here? This is kind of starting the review for this test. So summing up the class and kind of doing a little review for the test as we're moving along through this. Okay, so just to warn you, that's catch what I'm doing here a little bit. So 2 areas of marketing decision making: target market, marketing mix, segmenting, need-based, benefit-based, and then thinking about the variables that would identify the group that has that need or wants that benefit. That's kind of the theme that we looked at. Positioning. And with positioning, you can think about tangible, intangible aspects, or objective and subjective aspects to positioning. That whole value model kind of talks of positioning, back to checking that out, the value model. So that kind of talks about it. So positioning where you fit in the mind of the market, that idea relative to your competitors, where you fit, but also it's the place you compete from. You can think about that. It's kind of the base for that you step off into the market from, that position where you are in the marketplace. Market entry, market growth. Yeah, you know, we had that. We kind of mentioned that. We had that thinker toy that kind of mentioned that market entry. It was growth strategy matrix, kind of got at that. And how you define the market is kind of part of that, part of target market stuff, right? How you define your market. Customer relationship management kind of fits in there. Customer service, we looked at the Bell article in the Phoenix Fire Department and learning from defections, some of that stuff. Okay. Then, marketing mix. Yeah, you know, the product, developing products, the life of a product. We talk about the product life cycle. What makes a product go through its life? So under product, think about the product life cycle. Price, economic and psychological aspects of setting a price. We talked about some details of setting a price. We looked at price elasticity of demand, skimming versus penetration, those strategies. The experience curve. Place, P for distribution. It's the least changeable component of the marketing mix. You kind of stuck a lot of times because of contracts. P for promotion. You know, we got publicity and personal selling and sales promo. Did a little bit on social media, but then we did advertising. Talked about advertising. What are the effects of advertising? What is it? What's the effect on the demand curve? And then we talked about the idea of elasticity. Advertising elasticity, taking that concept from price, you know, price elasticity of demand, and applying it to advertising, and then moving on to response functions. Think about how's the market respond to changes in continuous variables. That all was springboarded, is that a word, off of advertising. Think about elasticity relative to advertising onto response functions. Okay, so we kind of did that, and of course one of the thrust of the class was the idea of value, that emphasis on value creation. And I'm thinking about what does marketing do? It creates, it communicates, it delivers value. And you're pretty familiar with that. You just got done working with that quite a bit in that paper you did. You know, I guess another thing to think about, you know, we had all this stuff along the way. There was no term project for the course. Did a lot of stuff along the way. A little midterm, a little final at the end. But like this paper that's due today, yeah, you knew about it weeks ahead, you know, think about it, kind of gave you some ideas on it along the way. And so, yeah, you know, we kind of did the class along the way. a lot of it, all the cases and all that stuff. So special emphasis on value. Read a lot of stuff, articles out of Harvard Business Review, classics like Intangible Products and Product Intangibles by Levitt, one of my favorites. Term project. Let's see what else have I got here. Some more recent articles like Customer-Centric Pricing by Cross and Dixit. And then in the classroom, the closest thing to reality you can do is cases or simulations. I do simulations in some classes, but cases, let you think about marketing thoughts, hear about marketing decision-making with your colleagues presenting cases and critiquing cases. And so the cases, they're not on the final. Back to the idea of stuff along the way. A lot of percent of the class was the case write-ups as a group and the presentation that became a default A, and case critiquing by a pair and the default oral part that became an A. But what do you get from, okay, so it's not on the final, they're not on the final, we did our thing with them, but it's the application of marketing ideas, back to those two areas of marketing decision making, target market decision, marketing mix, strategic planning and thinking. Maybe you use thinker toys, those models, when you worked on those cases. So you got that stuff from the cases. You got the flow of the analysis that was required, the steps of that case analysis process, a lot like the problem-solving decision-making process that people do, people use, consumers use, and it kind of reinforced that. And used a similar model for assessing ethical dilemmas, that Arthur Anderson model. So what else you get from cases? You got to exercise and enhance written communication, oral communication, and then working with a group of folks and group decision-making, which it happens, right? I mean, kind of learn how to make that work for you. Learn how to be part of a group. And here you get a low-cost exercise and working with that. People won't be watching it aren't as watching it quite as closely as they might in the real world. Okay. So that's a little summary. And then let's talk about this final and give you some information on it. The final is Thursday, May 7th at 3:30, and it's online. And it'll last an hour and a half online, trying to put some boundaries on things so it's just not out there forever. And I don't like giving tests online. I've never done that before. And here's my intention. I intend for this to be a solo activity. I intend for this to be closed book, closed note, like in a classroom setting. That's my intention. That's the playing field I'm assuming everybody's on. And, there are some onerous things I could have done. I'm not going to do them because we got thrown into this, just to put some controls on this. First, the time the test isn't that long. Okay. It's not going to be out there forever. So hour and a half, starting at 3:30. I could have done things like have one question show up at a time, no going back, answer it, move on, just to kind of put some boundaries on things. I'm not doing that. We got thrown into this. So you can take the test like a regular test. Like a regular test that you're taking solo, like a regular test that's closed book, closed note. Okay. So that I'll tell you more. I'll put that in an email to you. Thursday, May 7th, 3:30. 1.5 hours. I think I'm going to put a little 1-question practice test out there, just so you can get familiar with accessing a test via Blackboard or one of my tests. I don't know how many online classes you've taken, or how many tests you've taken online via Blackboard, but I'll put a little 1-question deal out there just so you can see how to get to it. See if that helps things. So that's what the test is going to be structured like. And when I send out an email about the test, I'm going to send this to you. And here's pretty much the review for the test. Here's what you get. It's 16% of your grade, not a killer deal, but be on the level playing field. Stuff some of this stuff in your brain one more time. And I'm going to give you a copy of this when I send you the email that announces this video is out there. And here's what it's going to look like. There's some questions. I mentioned old stuff here. There's some questions off of the midterm, if you remember that. So for what it's worth, there's 11 true false, 1.5 points apiece. One of those true false questions you've already seen. There are multiple choice questions that now your brain is sort of in gear. What's that say? 18 multiple choice questions, 2.5 points each. 3 are from the midterm. Okay. No, I'm not going to, no. Try and have some control over these tests. Should I ever want to use questions again? Okay, so no, I'm not going to give you a copy of the midterm. Short answer essay. 10 of them, that equals 38 points total. It says one is a matching, one is sort of an essay-ish question, 8 list or fill-ins, and one of the 10 questions is an old question that I'm asking you to do again. And total 100 points. Okay, so the material on this test, we have some chapters left from best, 8, 9, and 10, that's it. And articles, Bertonini and his co-authors, and his co-authors spelled wrong. Oh, yeah, I don't know if I'd spell authors that way, but authors, co-authors. Well, maybe I'll correct that before I send it to you. It goes from Bertonini and his co-authors through SCAMPER. See syllabus for both. No cases. Okay, so see syllabus for the chapters, see syllabus for the articles, okay. And then here's some old topics. Okay, I'll let you know what the topics are, the old stuff. How about, these are things that were on the midterm. So old stuff, steps of the strategic planning process, who, what, where, when, why, and how. How about sources of information? Where can you go? There's a handout. Sources of, where can you go for information? How about the marketing concept in action? You know what the marketing concept is, right? Check it out. And I could describe a scenario, a business situation, and you could say, oh yeah, it looks like they're applying the marketing concept. Customer relationship marketing, what is it? Oh, and the 2 major areas of marketing decision making. What could they be? Target market marketing mix. That's old stuff off the midterm. And then shiny new stuff. This is stuff since the midterm. We've got price, economic and psychological considerations, kind of those 2 categories, and then some details, especially on the economic side, right? Channels of Distribution. What's a channel of distribution? A definition of that. There were 6 C's of channel structure selection. Kind of look at that, just some general idea there, really. Forecasting. We talked about forecasting a little bit, if you remember that. A couple ideas on quantitative, a couple ideas on qualitative. Oh, intangible products and product intangibles. That's the name of an article. Huh. So what's that about? What are some unique features of services? I think we identified 4 unique features of services. What is the impact? And this links to this is the Levitt article, right? Intangible products, product intent. That's the Levitt article. These unique features of services, they were in the Levitt article, and we expanded upon them. Impact of advertising or promotion on the demand curve, not just advertising. What's it do to the demand curve? Shifts it to the right, makes it more inelastic. There you go. Response functions. Okay, some of these things, oh, look, down here at the bottom. If there's a star by it, it's a bigger deal. So up here, there was a star by strategic planning, who, what, where, when, why, and how kind of idea. There's a star by price. It's a bigger deal. There's a star by response functions. What is a response function? What are some examples of response functions? Then there was a star there, right? Benefits are the link between needs, people that have needs, and products that have attributes or features. Benefits is the connection. Basic to sales, basic to marketing. How about international strategy? Thinking about world brands, thinking globally, acting locally kind of idea. How about the FCPA, whatever I called that when I was lecturing through that. I don't know what I called it, but the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, we talked about that, a little lecture there. A lot of this stuff you can go back to and binge watch videos, because it's all there. The new stuff is all there. That picks up after spring break. So you can check out the FCPA. Ethics, what is ethics? What's the definition of that? The 7-step method from Arthur Anderson. For personal selling, we talked about the flow of personal selling, just kind of the general steps of personal selling. There was a handout that showed that. And in that, it was an outline. It was an outline for personal selling, right? And then we talked about R2A2, these listening, that droid dude, his listening skills, sales skills is kind of what it is. So that's personal selling. And then the whole brain decision making. What is that about? How about intuition? We defined it there. We said there are different types of intuition, like expert, ordinary, strategic, different types, different dimensions to intuition, like physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. How about 10 blocks to creativity? Yeah, that's the outline for the final. I'm going to send that to you. I'm going to correct authors. Okay. So that's it. And I mentioned this when we first stepped into this online adventure, that I was sorry for the seniors that, kind of shot into your college career in the rear a little bit by making it end like this. I guess maybe it's not over if you want to come back for graduation in September. Are they going to do that in September, really? So anyway, it's a unique situation. Needless to say, the last pandemic was 100 years ago. I've worked at Gonzaga 36 years. I've never, this is pretty wild, pretty unusual. So thanks for helping make it work. I mean, I tried to do what I could to adjust to this thing. But you all had to step into this whole deal too, besides having the disappointment of last half of the last semester of your senior year for a lot of you, kind of going down the tubes. But yeah, helping make it work. It was kind of a team deal. I did what I could. You all did what you could, stepping up to taking care of business. So, all right. If there are questions, get them to me. I may refer you to these wonderful videos that are out there with a lot of this information right here on them. So, well, thanks. And hope to see you. Goodbye.